After a year and a half delay, Marvel returns to theaters with Black Widow.
It's action. It's comedy. It's a backstory finally for one of the original Avengers.
And we're going to talk about the Red Ledger all on this episode of the Project Finding Good podcast with Kevin and Milton.
All right, Milton, we are back. Marvel is in the theaters, and we have waited a long time.
Yes, and we're so happy.
Time for this.
Finally.
Yes. It felt really good to be back in the theater watching Marvel after a couple small screen in my living room and in my bed watching Marvel.
Yes.
This is where it belongs.
You have a big TV at home, though, right? I would assume.
I mean,
it's not a theater, but
no,
it's as close as you're going to get.
You know, what is it? 50-inch
decent.
TV? Yeah.
50's good. Yeah, 50's good size.
Yeah.
You have a nice surround sound.
Yes,
you got the
I
whole
do.
thing
we got
going.
the Bose system going.
You got
good.
Bose. I got Sonos.
Okay, yeah.
You should
Right.
upgrade.
No, Bose is the best.
No, it's not. Sonos. Go for Sonos.
Sonos is a cheap version of Bose. So,
my
yeah, we
goodness.
need to get you a pay raise.
Wireless, baby. Go wireless. I do need a pay raise, though. Let's get on that.
So I did choose that I would not be watching Black Widow at home.
Same here.
Because you have that option with Disney Plus, but I wanted to go to the theater. It was like it's like duh. It was not even a choice.
And the theater owners are pissed.
Oh, they are not happy.
They are not happy. They're blaming Kevin Feige and Marvel, saying because, the second weekend, a huge drop in ticket sales. And even though first weekend's very strong.
It did.
So that was good. And people are just pointing fingers at each other. This is your fault. This is your fault. This is your fault. Yeah. Marvel should be better. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, hey, chill out, everybody. Let's just enjoy the movie.
It'll come back. It'll come back fully. I mean, we're still kind of in this weird phase. I mean, still 80% of movie theaters are open, so 20% of theaters are still shut down.
Yeah.
You certainly cannot blame these content creators who have poured millions into these films to find ways to reach all audiences. $60 million they made on the Disney Plus Premier Access.
Really? I didn't know that number.
That's better than most
that's
movies
pretty
come
good.
out like the first weekend.
That's pretty good.
So it's going to be hard to justify walking away from that. Yeah.
What I am hoping, and this has nothing to do with anything we want to talk about today, but I'm a spy guy. Like, I like spy stuff.
Okay.
I'm a James Bond dude and, all that stuff. And I would love for them to do a series on, like, the previous adventures and exploits of Black Widow. Like a spy thriller, like showing some of her missions and things she did. I think that would be cool.
She's a great actress and a great
she's
character.
Awesome.
I don't think we're going to get it, though. I think this is the last time we're going to see Black Widow.
That's kind of sad.
I mean, as far as Scarlett's version of that. I mean,
True.
Comics, they live and they switch hands. And we do want to talk about spoilers in this movie.
Big
as
time.
always, we want to talk about the whole thing. So, the end of the movie was a little bit of a wink and a handoff,
right?
And we'll see if we get a new Black Widow. I don't know.
Yeah, or if this multiverse thing becomes something, there'll be a version of Black Widow somewhere, and her hair color will be different, or she might be a pony. I don't know, whatever. Something. We may see her again. I don't know.
After Frog Thor and Alligator Loki,
right?
We have Pony Black Widow.
Yeah. Who knows? I never try to anticipate what these people are going to do in these shows. No. I always think I know what's happening. Yeah. I watch some stupid TikTok video and I'm like, oh, that's exactly what's going to happen. And then, of course, it's nothing.
Yeah. It's a great thing. They can literally do anything they want.
Oh, my goodness.
We'll eat it up and love it.
Yes.
So this is a movie with a lot of complexity, and it gives a lot of depth to Black Widow. I feel 10 years too late. I think I would have enjoyed the character of Black Widow a whole lot more if this movie came out a long time ago. And it was kind of like you hung out with someone, you didn't really get to know them for 10 years, and then you found their whole entire backstory when you don't really care anymore.
Sometimes that works, though.
Yeah.
In some movies, we enjoy finding the backstory out later, and then we go back and we understand why they did what they did. You're saying that you would have preferred to know the backstory before? Why
Yes.
this time why is it different this time?
Because I think you just understand their decisions and you don't have to wrestle with them anymore. And it's like, okay, well, I get why you made all those decisions.
Oh, I
in the
see. You
movies
don't want to
past.
think. That's what it is. You just want everything handed to you on a silver platter. You just want the
Why
easy
is it,
way.
Milton.
Like,
You always find a way to just make me feel horrible.
well, sometimes you are horrible. Use that brain of yours for more than just, watching TV. Like,
a good
you
friend.
think. Come on, man.
It's a good friend.
I'm trying to
A good
be.
friend will make you feel horrible every now and then.
Sometimes, yeah.
All right, but I did appreciate getting the backstory. Then fine, okay, now we have it.
Yeah.
and
One thing I really did enjoy about this movie, and this is more about just the movie storytelling. I love movies that wink at the audience, wink at themselves.
Right.
And, this whole, like, her sister telling her, like, why do you always drop in this position?
Oh.
And then she's, like, practicing
forgot
it.
about that.
And I'm just like, this is
was
awesome.
so good.
Because it's so true. And it happens over and over. And there must have been a focus
Yeah.
group somewhere along the way that said, like, this is the position that people love to see heroes drop into
Yeah.
from large heights.
And then she
Right?
did it. And then she did it.
And then she
was
did.
like, ugh.
And she's like, oh, I love that. I love that.
That was one
And
of
her
the best.
sister as a character is great.
I would watch her in her own series for anything.
For sure. She's snarky.
Yep.
She's a tough, she can fight, she can kick some butt, but she likes to make jokes. What else could you like?
Snark is my superpower. Kicking
You're
butt,
good
not
at it.
so much.
That's what you got me for.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm the butt kicker, you're the joke maker.
There you go. Okay, I'll just let you believe that. All right, so this movie is really explored this area of finding family. Again, we talked about this pretty heavily in the F9 video, one of the all-time best movies of the entire world.
Okay, if you say so.
But just finding family through finding family through dysfunction and pain. And I think a lot of us have certainly been through that. If you're part of any family, you've probably been through some dysfunction and pain. But I think what we do is we bail on family, and then we find family, right? We create it.
What are you talking about?
Like, why do we do this? Why don't we just hang out with the family we're given and make the best of where we're planted?
We're complicated creatures, and we can easily get butthurt about stuff.
Yeah.
And you look at this group of people that you've been forced into. You were just born into this family, and you're just like, these people suck, And it's usually, let's be honest, it's usually about stupid things.
Sure.
Like most of the family squabbles are about dumb things. It's the reason why when you get older, you laugh about the things you were angry about when you were little.
Yeah.
Right? You laugh about that, and you're like, wow, I can't believe I was so bent out of shape over that.
Yeah.
And we do, get. I remember a time. I don't remember what the issue was, but my mom got me mad about something. And my mom and I are very similar in our character.
Was this in your childhood, like
my
when
childhood.
you were young? Okay.
Yes, yeah. It was about a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I just said, I'm leaving, and I just grabbed my stuff and I left. And my initial intention was, I'm never coming back.
Sure.
It was New York. It was probably November-ish, winterish, late fall, early winterish. And I start walking. And I live in a beach town. So the ocean is right there. Wind, just kick it. I mean, the weather is awful. I got this big trench coaty. And I start walking, and I'm mad, and I'm brooding. I'm just like, oh, I'm going to show my mom I'm never coming back. She's going to miss me and whatever, blah, blah, blah. And the more I walk, the more I realize this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. Like, what am I doing, right?
Yeah.
And I turn around and I come home. And
That was probably a fantastic moment for your mother.
I don't think my mother even knew I left, honestly.
Like, didn't care.
It's like, oh, you're back. Hey, what's up? And I'm just like, why was I mad?
Yeah.
But it's the way we are, and And luckily, I came to my senses, and I was just like, but other people, they don't. They just keep going.
They just keep
And
walking.
they lose, and then they lose their family. But the great thing is you can discover family in others, friends, because there are families that are broken and dysfunctional and it can really hurt you, like on a very deep emotional level.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to go outside of your immediate family to find that family. Think about all the people who are adopted or in the foster care system, or a death happens in the family. You lose your parents and you don't have that extended family. So it's possible to find family in other places. And, here in this movie, Black Widow, when we think about all the whole MCU movies, we understand her family was broken. So she found a new family in the Avengers. Mm-hmm. And that became her family. And then when half of them disappeared, she was again looking for more family and struggling to find that. So it's a sad journey.
Yeah, I mean, in this process, we learn a lot about that scene in, I believe it was Avengers, where Black Widow comes to Loki. Loki's in the cage.
Yeah,
and Loki says, "I've seen your red ledger." And it's that moment of like, oh, she has a pretty dark past.
Right.
This movie was about discovering that red ledger and really opening that up.
Yeah.
But not only in the dysfunction of family, but also the dysfunction of her own personal life. And I think there's a lot to park on here, on this idea of red ledger. And being able to reset and move past it. I do believe I've talked with enough people that we all have a lot of red in our ledgers, and I know for me, I have tried to balance that out by doing a lot of good, by trying to love people and trying to serve people and trying to kind of outweigh and balance that red ledger, and it never satisfies. And why can't you outgood your bad?
Yeah.
In life.
I'll give you an illustration, very practical one for me. So I've talked about this before. I've been on this health journey, and I was under the impression for most of my life that if I exercised enough, I could eat almost anything I wanted to. And I learned in this process of my journey, I'm never going to out-exercise bad nutrition. Never.
Now, wait a minute. I don't know if I agree with that.
Well, you're wrong if you don't agree with that. If you
eat 1,000-calorie hamburger,
yes,
you just go burn it off.
Okay. Let's say, okay,
the problem is when you don't burn it off. Yeah.
Right. Do you know how much it's going to take for you to burn off 1,000 calories?
Yeah, about an hour and 20 minutes on the elliptical.
You're running pretty fast on that elliptical with one of those aluminum suits on.
Yeah, and an 80-pound weight back.
Yeah, and inside a sauna.
Sure, yeah. You can do it.
It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You can't eat a Cinnabon and hope that in one day you're going to burn off enough calories to counteract that Cinnabon. No.
Yeah, you just run to the Cinnabon and then run back home.
No.
That's all you got to do.
Whenever I'm driving on the boulevard and I just see this body on the side of the road with a Cinnabon bag next to it, I'm going to know that was you trying to run the Cinnabon off on your way home. It's not
like a good idea
going to work. You cannot out-exercise bad nutrition. You have to make the right choices. And I think it's similar with this. Yeah, we make bad choices and our ledger is red, and we think if we just do enough good, it'll somehow put us in the right space inside of the universe or our maker or whatever your belief system is. And in the end, I think really your only solution is to just start over. Don't try to balance it out. Just wipe your slate clean, even if it's only in your own mind. To say to yourself, I screwed up. I totally threw my life away. There's nothing I can do to make up for the mistakes I've made. But starting today, I can make the right choice and start on a new path?
I think running on a elliptical with an 80-pound bag in the sauna and a wetsuit is easier. What you just explained. That process is so hard. That process is so hard just to let go and to start over. And I'll tell you why. Because God gave us this great thing called memory. And the enemy, I believe, uses that great thing as the number one tactic to force us to live in the past.
Yeah.
I mean, my memory doesn't go away. And I've prayed like for years.
Yeah.
God, take away these memories, take away this pain, take away like, and then I think, well, gee, I should probably think about what I'm praying about, or else he's going to make me trip on a rock, and I'm gonna hit my head on a rock, and then I'm not going to remember anything. And
You got a lot of issues, man. Your imagination is your worst enemy, dude. Trust me, that's not going to happen.
Wipe the slate
You're not going to hit your head on a rock and get complete amnesia of all your bad memories and your family and us doing this podcast. You're going to be fine.
I don't want him to take my prayers literally, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think God's smarter than that.
Okay.
You're fine. Relax. Right. Take a breath.
Yeah, that's funny. But I do. Yeah. I mean, walking away is tough.
Yeah, and let me throw another monkey wrench into this.
Yeah.
Because you have your memories, and guess what? People have their memories too.
Right.
I remember, so we talk about red ledger. Mm-hmm. I had a red ledger. I have a red ledger. It's there. Before I came to my faith conversion, whatever you want to call it, your come to Jesus moment, I lived it was a party life. Okay. Just to not get into all the gory details, but it was a life that was in opposition to the way I was raised and what I knew what was best for me. And I did that life with lots of people. You don't party by yourself. You party with a group, right? So all these people saw me living that life. Going to the parties, hanging out, doing the things, the drinking and just the gambling and all of it, just was there. Mm-hmm. And then I had my moment, right? I had my moment where I was at the depths. I was at the bottom. I knew I was going nowhere, and I turned my life around, and I asked for forgiveness, and I made the decision on that moment. Okay, now it's a different path. And I remember that's when I decided soon after that to become a pastor, become a minister.
Wow.
Right? So I remember going back home and going to like this big religious, like a camp out kind of thing, right? Thousands of people everywhere. And I'm with my mom, and we're just walking around, seeing people that we knew, getting reacquainted, whatever. I'd been gone for a while because I was away in college. And this lady is there. And I walk up to her and I say hello, whatever. And she's like, "Oh, hey, Milton, how you doing? Oh, great, thank you. Oh, you're studying to be a pastor? And
she knew.
She's in everything. She didn't say anything to me about like you suck or you're awful, you're never gonna make it. But it was in the tone, it was in the facial expression where she was basically saying, "Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I know who you were." And I think we carry that with us, right? So it's our own memories, and then it's the people who judge you because they know what you were and they still don't believe who you're becoming. And that gets in the way of us also forgiving ourselves and starting over.
Mm-hmm. There's a great verse that talks about East and West. And I think this is a path forward for a lot of this, is that God takes your mistakes and casts them as far as the East is to the West, and to be able to do that for yourself, to give yourself that permission and your ability to just go, okay, I can do that, because there's so much of that. Who are you? that comes to attack. Like, who are you to become a pastor? Like,
Yeah.
you can't preach against the stuff that you did, and it's debilitating. It can be debilitating, but the only way forward is just that self-sacrifice, that self-love and forgiveness that you really need to participate in.
Yeah, and that message can come through in so many ways. For me, it was, like, who are you to become a pastor? And someone could come to you and say, like, you don't deserve to be in a good marriage. You've never been faithful in any relationship in your life. You don't deserve to have a good job because you've been a lazy bum your whole life. You don't deserve to have money in the bank because you've always spent wildly without thinking, and time. You don't deserve to be a good parent, to have children, because look at you. You're not a responsible person, or your parents were awful, and there's just so many of those messages that just hammer us over and over and over again, and we start believing them. That's the problem. We start believing them, and we don't want to allow ourselves to say, maybe that was true, but starting today, it's not true.
Yeah, cool exercise I'll share real quick that I did was in a. It's called Formation Renovation. It was 2 weekends.
Sounds very, very mystical.
It rhymed, so it was very cool.
Yeah,
I'm
awesome.
all about rhyming words.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was 6 days, like,
Wow.
7 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Sheesh.
Hard work.
Wow.
Just about
No television, no
television, no cell
telephones.
phones.
Wow.
Yeah,
How did you make it,
rough.
dude?
I don't know. It was rough. But one of the exercises was, we had 3 different colors of Post-it notes. And
Okay.
Put down all. Step 1 was put down all the pain in your life. That's how they started the exercise.
I don't want to do that.
I'm like,
Thank you. I'm fine.
And they give you, like, this is going to be a 2 to 3 hour thing, so take your time.
Sheesh.
And then they just left us with their thoughts. And wow, I mean, that moment was incredibly humbling to just think hard about all the pain that has been into your life and all the pain that has come out of your life.
Yeah. And some of that self-inflicted, I would think.
Oh, totally.
And so, and some of it others have done to you. And,
yeah.
and that makes it even more difficult.
And
man.
Yeah, it was a hard exercise, but the second step was now write down how you have seen redemption in these places.
Nice.
I'm like, okay. It was interesting in that your brain didn't go there first. You first went to all the pain and all the hardship, and now look at redemption. Okay. And I was able to go through and, like, okay, that is not necessarily affecting me anymore, and this is how this area of my life has been healed or redeemed. And there was a couple places where it wasn't yet, and you just left it blank. And then the third step was, what have you seen? Like, what positive things have you seen come out of that redemption? And I've got to tell you, it was one of the coolest exercises I've ever done, examining my own life.
Yeah.
And it really helped me. That led to a moment of being handed a mirror and having to forgive myself for a lot of stuff, a lot of these blank areas that I haven't seen redemption. And that was the process. I think it's good to go back and remember these hard moments, but also be reminded of how well we are able to move past them. Because I think we forget that. I think we forget the redemption, the good stuff. Those bad memories haunt us.
Yeah.
That's what the enemy is using to attack us. That's what our brains go to. We're not good enough and we can't get past this. And this is who we are. And this is what defines me. And no, take a couple minutes and remind yourself of how redemption has happened, or how you can get there very easily.
And I think it's so, wow, I think you brought this to such a great place, Kevin, with your story, because you think about Black Widow. She has the red ledger, and she mentions over and over she's trying to erase that past, right? And if we don't embrace this starting over, this forgiveness, this redemption, then our only option, which a lot of people are taking, and it's a tragedy, the only option is what she did, which you think about Endgame, where she sacrifices herself. And she, in her mind, this is what I think is going in through her mind, the only way that I can balance out my account is to die. And she sacrifices herself. Now, in the end, we know she had to, right? It saved the movie. But how many people in real life feel like their only way to make things right is to take their own life, is to end it, right? And that is the tragedy, because there's such a better option. It's a more painful option. It's a challenging option to do, because you got to go deep and you got to face some painful moments. But it's so much more rewarding, and the growth that comes out of doing something like that is so huge. I just want to encourage anyone, if you're thinking like, my only option is to end it. No, that's not your only option. There's such a better option. And if there's anything that we can do in the Project family to support you in going deeper and finding that redemption, that forgiveness, we want to be there for all of our listeners and all of our viewers.
Yeah, huge. Yeah. A good reminder, and great movie with a lot of good stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
And don't let your red ledger define your future.
There you go.
All right. Thanks so much for listening, for watching wherever you're doing that ad. Of course, we're at YouTube. If you want to subscribe to the channel, click that bell. That gives you notifications of when we release new episodes, which right now we're trying to do on a regular basis. So we want to make sure that you get that content. If you're listening, subscribe wherever you're listening in on podcasts. Just make sure, again, you get what we're delivering. All right. Well, thanks so much for being part of it. Comment back, send us an email. We got those details in the descriptions, and we will talk again soon.